welcome to another episode of Me Dark Presents Scary Movie Madness.
Real inconsistent the last few weeks.
Yeah, we're on episode 28 now.
Yep.
And you and I had, we kind of discussed that now, with the summer coming up and Memorial Day seems like kind of a good place to maybe pause the Scary Movie Madness stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Until September picks back up again and we're back in scary movie season.
Do you have any idea how fucking busy I am?
Yeah, like we said, it's like it's getting more back towards normal, so it's harder to do these little side projects.
I hate normal. I'd rather go back to the quarantine life.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to it, I guess.
I guess I just don't like people enough.
Like anything else? You don't like people enough? Well, see, I've been back out in the real world a little more. You've been still working from home.
I'm good with it.
It's
great.
Well, that's because you had to be on a train all the time. And
still not looking forward to it.
I still don't see too many people. It's like me and a few guys in the studio working on a movie. So
yeah, I hear that.
But I think we're going to try to just sporadically drop some pods over the summer, but there'll probably be game nights with guests.
Yeah, whatever we're feeling squirrely about.
Yeah. So we're gonna put the giveaway on pause too, I think, until we pick back up with the scary movie stuff.
We could do a big one once it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Big celebratory we're back.
Yeah. So today I thought would be interesting. This was I think Dude wants to go to you, but I'm just gonna put him down.
God.
What I thought would be interesting, you and I had discussed, because a lot of movies get remade, obviously, but horror movies especially, they try to remake and they try to stick to like the the heavy hitters. Like how many times are they gonna make another Halloween movie and
all the iconic slashers.
Yeah. What did you think of I think we saw the new Halloween in the movie theater.
The Rob Zombie one?
Not the Rob Zombie one. They came out with another
They're
one.
They're both Rob Zombie. There's two.
No, you're thinking of way back. I'm thinking of recently they did one with Jamie Lee Curtis again. You don't even remember seeing this movie. It got like rave reviews, like critical acclaim. And I remember us seeing it. See, like you forgot about the movie entirely.
Yeah, which means that it didn't leave a mark.
No, and I just thought it was so blah. Like I preferred, at least Rob Zombie tried to do like
he did a backstory,
a reimagining of the character type of thing, which is what this movie Maniac that we're going to talk about. There's two versions of this movie also. The original is from 1980, very low budget, very indie style film.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was interesting because I'd never heard of Maniac, but I guess it was sort of a cult classic. And then the fact that it got remade piqued my interest. And we were talking about doing podcasts where we actually compare and contrast the originals versus the remakes. So I thought this would be a fun little thing to try. So we're going to do that with the movie Maniac. Before we dive into it, though, everybody's talking about Army of the Dead on Netflix, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
And I put this movie on, and do you remember this? The intro is like the Viva Las Vegas, and it goes on for
forever.
Yeah,
it's like the longest version of the song of all time because they made it so slow. It's like an 8-minute song.
But it starts out fine. Like it's Richard Cheese. I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Cheese, but he does like all the big band like swing covers of famous songs. I like it better when he did like a lot of like the 90s like alternative stuff that had like ridiculous lyrics, and when you parse it down to like big band where everything's like crooning and clear and you could hear all the words and it's slowed down, it's very funny. It's like he kind of got that shtick of like, oh, I'm just gonna redo these songs word for word, but they're gonna be funny in this style.
Yeah.
So they do Richard Cheese, Viva Las Vegas. And then it transitions into this, like he intros this other woman as a vocalist. And like you said, it's like 20 minutes. It goes on forever. And I think
it's not good.
I think by the time the intro was over, you had already tapped out of the movie. You're like,
I was like, this is too much. I was like, at that point, the song felt so long that I started questioning if those were the actual verses.
Yeah.
And I had to look up the lyrics. I'm like, is this a real verse? Yeah. Like, the song is meant to be like, this is where I hate it. And you talk about this too, when people have to slow down songs and do the slow version of the fast song. Because I feel like I'm a more iconic musician if I slow it down.
I hate it.
And it's like, no. half the time the song is meant to have a certain speed because it gives the song movement.
Right.
Viva Las Vegas is one of those songs. It has
the bridge has the
feel.
pickup. Yeah.
No, but even in the beginning, it has the feel of being in Vegas. Fast moving, fast paced, showy.
Yep.
That's the point. Yeah. It was not meant to be a girls' American Idol ballad. Yeah. Go away.
They did it with, you saw, but when I was watching the Venom 2 trailer.
Yeah.
First of all, the first Venom movie sucked. I hated it. And Sony needs to just give up. Like, you need to recognize that you don't know what the hell you're doing. I understand you see dollar signs with Spider-Man, but like, just let Marvel have full creative control and just collect a check already, because you guys... You don't know what you're doing.
Nothing is sticking. If you have to change your actor 400 times, maybe you're not writing good movies.
Well, no, that has nothing to do with it.
What do you mean?
Spider-Man changed actors because he crossed over in the MCU, and it didn't make any sense to pick up Andrew Garfield's crappy Spider-Man.
Right, but that's my point. It's like you keep having to like change things and make it work, and like it's obviously not working to let this one franchise live outside of everything else.
God. So Venom it's a complete disaster. You have Tom Hardy, who, you know, for me, he's one of the best actors working. I mean, Tom Hardy is so malleable. You could do so many things with that guy. And they just totally I don't know what they were doing. Like, you're paying Tom Hardy to just fart on the screen, basically. But like they do.
And now Tom Hardy takes a shit, everybody.
I mean, it's basically what it seems like. And they do One Is the Loneliest Number, but they slow it down, and that's the trailer.
And
I'm
again,
like,
it's awful.
It's horrible. But anyway, Zack Snyder, this fucking guy, I don't know what he has on people in Hollywood, why he keeps getting to make films, but I don't like him. I don't like his style. The movie Army of the Dead, it's overly long. It's just bogged down with all these weird plot points that don't go anywhere. I think the movie's over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And if I could just take a fucking butcher knife to it and cut it down to an hour and a half, maybe you have something that's watchable. But my God, it was just...
You know how I feel about zombie movies, so... Yeah. They're not my favorite thing.
I mean, it had a couple of cool elements in it. Like, he does these things with like the alpha zombies who like lead the rest of the zombies. I guess they're like more intelligent. There's like a king
They're like
and queen.
partly transitioned.
I don't know what it is. They're like more evolved.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting touch. It was like, all right, I get that like the zombies have a bit of like a hierarchy, you know, it's like, it's not just everybody's just easy to kill. Like, there's ones that are harder to kill, but
right.
Whatever. I mean, I just thought it was a mess overall. But we did watch Cruella. What did you think of Cruella? That just came out on Disney+.
I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised with what they did with it, because they made it basically a heist movie.
Yeah, kind of.
They just went the route of like an Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12 kind of thing, where, you know, you didn't expect her to be this, like, they obviously painted her as a genius first, right? That's the whole thing, is she can pull these heists off because she's a genius, and as a kid, right? And then I just loved the whole vibe of the movie. I love that they tied that in. I think like it made the Emma Stone character make more sense, because at first we were like, Emma Stone is Cruella? Like, she's too like goody for that.
But yeah, they made her do like, she creates like an alter ego version of herself, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like when you're pinning it as it is the young version of her, like it totally makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a really fun, like I would watch it again, honestly. Like I feel like there's a lot to pick up on and catch in it.
Yeah. I mean, it's $30 to watch it on Disney Plus right now, which I know a lot of people are going to complain about that. But again,
that's like 2 tickets to the movie theater though. Like if me and you were going to the movies, $30.
I mean, coming from somebody again that like I work in the movie industry, and just everybody wants everything to be perfect and they want it to be free. The audience doesn't take into account how much money it costs to make any of this stuff, all the people that work on it, and how they have to get paid. Like, people don't care about that. It's like, oh, it's entertainment. It should be free and it needs to be perfect. Yeah. And I'll criticize every fucking thing about it.
Just don't fucking watch. No one wants you to watch. Okay? Stop rooting for the rest of us. We got to watch these asinine movies because you want free.
The bigger point of it is like, I think it's worth the $30.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Is like, anyone who wants that for free, go watch like, I don't know, WB11 or something. Like nobody is getting this quality of film for free.
But not only, it's like, it's a new movie.
Yeah.
The theaters are very limited right now in what they're showing. So I kind of like the idea of like, yeah, if you want to go to the movie theaters, you can go see Cruella. But also, if you want to just watch it at home, $30 access.
That's what I mean.
For
a family of 4, $30, you're still up.
Yep.
After snacks and everything that you need to do, pay the $30 and shut the fuck up.
Speaking of which, I think Black Widow is probably going to be our first
movie back
because I can't think of another one that I would go to the movies to see.
I mean, I don't even know anything that's coming out in the movies because it's been so long. I don't even know like what's coming, what's down the pipe.
There's a lot of cool stuff coming, and then the Loki show starts up soon, that was probably the show I was most looking forward to.
Yeah, I wasn't into the Falcon show. I just don't care.
I loved it, but I knew you wouldn't be into it because Falcon and Winter Soldier, it very much is like a guy's action like it's an action movie. You know, like the great thing about Marvel is like they dabble in all the different genres, obviously, which I can't wait to see what they do with Doctor Strange 2 because it's supposed to be a horror movie.
I know, I love Doctor Strange.
So I really hope they keep it as a horror movie, and Sam Raimi is directing, so it should be Marvel's first real attempt. Yeah. But the Captain America, like that, all that stuff, that's action movies. Like that's very much.
I don't just like action. Like I like the Avengers. I like all the Iron Man.
But that's kind of,
I like Thor.
That's kind of all you kind of get from that. It very much feels like
I guess.
Like a throwback action kind of thing. We're going to finish up here with a head-to-head also.
Oh, snap.
Which I don't remember how we came up with this idea or how I came up with it, but I thought we should pick the wild animals that we would love to have as pets.
There was something that we were watching where someone had like a tiger or something, and I was like, no, why? Yeah. Or a bear or something. And I was like, this is insane. Yeah.
And I was like, what wild animals would you have as a pet? But the stipulation is that they can't hurt you or anybody else.
Yeah, right? Like it's in a perfect world where like you domesticated it and you're going to be completely safe.
It just loves you. Yeah. So we're going to do that.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So let's dive into Maniac from 1980. This is written by C.A. Rosenberg and Joe Spinell. Joe Spinell is the lead actor in this. He plays the character of Frank Zito. And this one's directed by William Lustig. And it's, they do like a cool little vibe with this one. And this is probably the thing that strikes me the most about this film again. And it kind of takes me back to when we first started the podcast, right? Is these things that are shot in like the 70s, 80s, right? There's a certain kind of quality to how those things were filmed back then that it's just not replicatable anymore.
Yeah.
And I think you and I were watching something in 4K, and in the middle of it, you go, "Is this 4K?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And you're like, "I don't like it."
I hate it. It takes me out. It makes me feel like I'm watching theater. Like recorded theater, which, yes, that's what movies are. Yeah. It's theater on film. But it feels so much more like I'm watching people on a stage and a set, and I hate it. I don't like it.
I think there's definitely levels to 4K, and I think sometimes it's kind of about like how they grade the film, the quality of the lenses that they use help sort of mitigate what you're talking about, where things look very clean and clear. They're not noisy at all.
Yeah, it's like home video.
But they still look cinematic, right? There's a little bit of a softness to the lens. So like when you use like a cinema prime lens, even though you're shooting at like these ridiculous resolutions, because let's face it, like even back then, like I'm sure the original film that Maniac is shot on is probably super high res, the original print, right? If they wanted to, they could probably remaster it as like a 4K thing.
Yeah.
If the film was taken good care of and they still have, a clean access to it. But there are certain ones, like you're saying, that we'll watch, and I do agree, like it's too sharp, it's too clear. They probably should have upgraded the lens so it felt more like a movie and less like you're saying, like somebody filmed like a play or that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it feels like they're right, like in your living room.
Yeah, I don't like it. It takes away the illusion of them being characters, and they're just people reading lines at that point. And like the whole point of cinematography is to help make it a story, to help change
the cinematography gives the film a look, right? So and usually the director of photography is responsible for that kind of thing. It's all about how you light things, and there's a whole mess of technical things that go into this stuff. But New York in the 1980s, right? Where I actually, this is probably 1970s when they shot it. New York during this time, it just has a very scary vibe to it, doesn't it?
It was a time where New York was like the place you didn't go. Like people would be like, "You're in New York City by yourself? What do you mean? You don't change trains at Jamaica."
Yeah,
like that's like what you're taught as a Long Island kid growing up. Like, oh, Jamaica, changing trains at midnight, and you're like, what? And now it's like, yeah, I did that shit every day.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Oh, for the longest time, I remember my parents did not want us going into the city for anything. Like growing up, I thought the city was the scariest place.
See, I never had that because my family is from Brooklyn, and so like my family's never been scared of the city. But yeah, that's what it was.
So, what do you think of this character, Frank Zito? He's this guy who he comes from an abusive mother, right? And he's sort of just like roaming around the streets of New York in the late 70s, targeting young women to not only kill, but he scalps them. He takes their scalps. He saves the scalp and he hammers it onto these mannequins that he has lying around all over his apartment.
I mean, the only thing to say to this is exactly why it's called Maniac. There's no other term to properly fit this character.
Yeah, and he definitely he has the look, right? I mean, one of the best shots of him that we get is the scene where he's strangling that prostitute, and it's like it's kind of the shot from her point of view, really, of him like over her, strangling her, and he's got like this really, he's like gritting his teeth and his eyes are really wide. Lots of
interesting POV shots in this.
Yeah. And his hair's all kind of to show, but he does look like this guy really, he feels like this is what this character would be.
Yeah.
Like the shape of him, the way he talks and his whole vibe. It's like this guy just like, it's a perfect marriage of the character.
Yeah.
I think. So
I kind of feel like RPC, is that his name?
It kind of, it is a little bit like Robert Paul Champagne,
but like a fourth level gremlin version.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's that guy, but he gets dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber.
I feel like Robert Paul Champagne is like the bottom rung of that.
That's what I mean.
This guy is above.
He's
that.
He's the top realm of this character.
And RPC is the fourth level gremlin.
Yeah, like 4 sprouted gremlins later.
Of Frank Zito.
Yeah, it's accurate.
Yeah. So what do you think of this? What do you think of this concept of this middle-aged man who has a troubled backstory with his mom that I don't know if it's ever like fully made clear. I think she was a prostitute also.
Yeah, she was definitely a prostitute. They dance around it. That's why he targets prostitutes specifically.
He doesn't target prostitutes specifically. He does kill the one prostitute, but other women are not necessarily prostitutes that he kills.
I thought they were.
No.
I thought that they're all in some way, shape, or form, like an escort of some kind.
No. I think it's just the one. But the concept basically is that, he takes the scalp as like, they're like a proxy of his mom, and like he talks to them. And the whole thing is like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to keep you.
It's very like Psycho-ish.
Kind of. Yeah.
In the sense of like, again, like the talking to your mother and trying to keep the spirit alive thing.
Oh my God.
Ooh, it's creepy.
So I mean,
I sworn it was all prostitutes.
As a concept, no, because think about it. There's the scene in the car. Actually, it's my favorite kill in the movie is the scene with the guy. He takes like the girl out in his car. They're like parked somewhere, and they're like the guy's cheating on his wife.
Yeah,
and Frank shows up and it like goes to like a fake slow motion, which I think is funny because I guess back then you couldn't really shoot at like a high speed frame rate.
Right.
He pops up out of nowhere. He jumps onto the hood of the car with the shotgun. Do you remember this?
Oh my God.
And just blows the guy's head clean off.
I mean, again, this guy could have just hit the gas or reverse and they would have been safe. I hate that shit.
In the grand scheme of things, we are watching it in slow motion. I don't know how fast you'd be able to react. I mean, I thought the head exploding looked really fucking cool.
Especially for the time.
There is a little cut there, though, where like you see the fake head.
Yeah.
So, you know, you always get the fucking...
It's like the dog head and fucking
shot.
People under the stairs where you're like, look at it! Look at it!
Or the fake head in Poltergeist.
Oh my God, no. Why do you got to even bring that up?
Oh my God. Because
it's traumatizing.
That one specifically, it was such a botch
So
job.
fucking lazy.
It was such a botch
I'm going to keep saying it. That movie is lazy.
It's not the worst, but it's not good.
Added up with everything else that's wrong with that movie, that movie is lazy.
You can't have a PG horror movie.
No, it's lazy.
This movie, though, I mean, they go pretty crazy with the gore, right?
Yeah, they don't skimp. The scalpings are pretty graphic.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. Multiple.
Now, what did you think of there's the scene, it bothered both of us because it's New York City and he's chasing this girl on the subway or through the subway and there's nobody to be found.
This doesn't make any sense because there's not a single time in New York City where that would ever be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could be a fucking blizzard.
It's never that quiet there.
And there will still be people in that subway.
And that scene...
Maybe in the 70s it was normal?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You'd think there'd be like... all they needed to do is just like scatter the subway with like a few people or something.
A few people passed out on the bench or
We'll get into it with the remake because the remake does a scene that's similar to this where he chases the girl through the subway, but it works.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the reason why it works is because of how they choose to end that scene, but we'll talk about it when we get to it. This one is like, you know, there's nobody around, and then she goes into the bathroom, right, to escape him. And oh my God, the state of these bathrooms. I mean, what were people doing in the city in this, like...
There was no, like, money put towards, like, maintaining any public, like, facilities.
There's just shit written everywhere. Like, everything's disgusting. First of all...
Graffiti, like, was like a token of the time.
I think Dane Cook has a joke about this where he's like, what? He's like, guys, like, we need to talk about, like, the public men's restroom. Like, who is going in there, like, kicking down the doors? Like, I need to crap. Writing on the walls, like, fucking...
Bringing a pen.
He's like, and then while they're crapping, they're just writing on the walls, like, the goddamn Jews and this and that. And it's like, who's doing this? That's what I want to know. Like, who's doing this crap?
I can't.
But anyway, like, it takes forever, the whole suspense thing in this bathroom, only for him to, like, walk out and her to, like, go to the mirror. And then I said it, like, before it happened, like, it's the fucking age-old shot where she looks in the mirror, looks down to wash her hands, the camera follows her, and then when you look back up, he's in the mirror behind her.
Remember I did the sound and it was like exact.
It was exactly the sound. You did the sound effect.
Ready? And it was that. They didn't even try to cheat it. Like the same old Halloween sound.
Just a stock like template of how to scare people.
That's the noise, everyone. You hear and you just know you're about to die.
That's kind of the thing about this movie that because again, like a lot of these movies, they just get considered to be like cult classics, I guess, especially in the horror field.
This feels like a Alice, Sweet Alice kind of thing.
But no, it doesn't have the artful mind behind it like Alice, Sweet Alice had. Like Alice, Sweet Alice, it had like, first of all, the story was stronger, the actors were stronger, but it had like a total like art nerd like film vibe behind it. Like the person who made that like really knows how to craft a movie. I forget the director's name, but
I mean, I get it, but I'm saying like in terms of like this movie, I guarantee you it was one of those things that weren't crazy popular at the time, and like over time has been like, yo, did you ever see this movie from the 70s? And then it's like, whoa, this is wild.
I think this one, if nothing else, it had made a splash for the gore in this movie. Yeah. I think was sort of groundbreaking.
I mean, is it considered a grindhouse? It's kind of grindhousey.
It does feel very grindhousey, especially in the beginning with like when he kills the couple on the beach.
Yeah.
Like just the whole way that thing is shot feels like, very noisy and grindy and you know.
I mean, usually the heavy gore was grindhouse movies.
Yeah. Then there's the whole situation with this photographer, right? She takes a photo of him in the park, and like somehow he recognizes that she took the photo of him in the park, and
he had already spotted her while he was trying to like be creepy with a kid. Yeah.
Right. So he tracks her down and like he goes to her apartment, just like shows up unannounced. And like it's way too easy.
This is without a phone, like without GPS, without tracking mechanisms.
Yeah, people could just show up, you know.
Terrifying.
Just a complete stranger.
Nothing is scarier than that.
Like, yes, you took a photo of me in the park. I'm you know, my name is Frank. I'm here.
Here I am at your door. But that's what's even more terrifying is like back then, if you could find where I lived. Nah,
well,
fuck that.
Yeah, clearly he followed you home. Like
that's what I mean. Is like at least now it's like, all right, I took a picture. You could have been wandering the neighborhood and easily like stumbled upon my house because I have shit all over the internet. Great, like my fault. But like back then, no way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and the whole interaction between him and Anna is her name, the photographer. It feels very forced. Like the situation feels like she should have been creeped out immediately by him, and she's just not. And the fact that like she's this beautiful woman who shoots models all the time, like she clearly lives in a way different world than he does, right? Yeah. He's sort of the lowest of the low, and she's up there kind of with like the upper middle class of the city, right? And for a guy like this to walk in, like, and for her to be as welcoming and as friendly, and he even like asked her to go to dinner, like he just asked her out on a date, and she's like, "Yeah, sure. Like, you want to go tonight?" Like, I'm like, "Oh my god! Like who wrote this? This is not believable.
So not believable. This guy randomly shows up at your house. He looks the way he does, and you're like, "Yeah, let's go on a date." No fucking way. Are you asking to die? Just ask him outright. Be like, "Here's a knife. Just kill me."
I mean, she's essentially his like top prize target kind of throughout the film, is like while he keeps killing these other women and collecting their scalp and
being strung along.
Yeah, he's sort of like he's growing this relationship
like, will he or
a little
won't
more.
He with this
one. But I mean in the end, obviously, you know, he does get to her. There's the whole thing where he's there in the apartment and all the mannequins appear alive again.
Yeah.
Right? They're all the women that he killed.
Yeah, he's hallucinating.
Yeah. And they do this thing. What did you think of this scene where they just rip him apart, basically? All the women.
I mean, I think it's just a symbolic way of showing probably what's like in his mind, you know, like you're not supposed to think that that's real.
No, it's impossible. It can't really happen. And I think they rip his head clean off. Like it looks wild.
It's again going for the gore factor, like you said. It was just like an opportunity to do something super ridiculous and like that people haven't seen, and it was like prime opportunity to do it. It was definitely creepy and weird, but that's this whole movie. Like every step of the movie, whether it be the way that they cut the scenes, the music, the things he does, the things he says when he's fucking randomly talking to himself.
The narrations are a good little bit.
Yeah. Why you like this? Why you gotta do this? Why you gotta do that? You know, like so weird. This just adds to like that conflicted persona that he has.
I always love narrations in movies with, you know, if you have a really good character that can carry a narration.
American Psycho.
That is a great example. Pretty much every Scorsese movie I could think of has one of the characters narrating, right? Yep. Goodfellas has Ray Liotta's character.
Yep.
Casino, it's Robert De Niro's character. You love a good
narration.
I mean, you have to be like I think this guy Joe Spinell, because he embodies the Frank character so well. I think that the narrations were a good touch, like getting us in the mind of Frank, because his dialogue with other characters is very phony, right? His dialogue with Anna, you don't really get a good sense of who the man is behind the maniac. It's just he's pretending, right? So when he's talking to himself and doing those narrations, you really get a sense of like how fucking crazy this guy is. But what I hated was like they do this whole rip apart thing at the end, right? And it's like super weird and trippy, and obviously it's not supposed to be real. And it kind of just fit the whole weird tone of the movie where it's like I kind of wish they would have just ended it there.
Yeah.
Instead, like randomly, these two cops come in. I wasn't even sure if they were cops at first. And I'm like, no, I think that guy's definitely wearing a badge.
Here we go again, the dumb cops in the 70s.
But it's the weirdest thing. Frank is lying on the bed. He's stabbed, like he was dying. And they have their guns drawn, like they're supposed to go in there, you know.
Yep.
And take him out. And because he's laying on the bed, seemingly dead, and they look around, they see all the mannequins standing around with all the scalp things.
Bloody
and they
heads.
just look around and they look at each other and they just walk out of the room.
Nothing to see here.
They just leave it like that. And I'm like, what is the fucking point of that at all? First of all, it's the first time we've seen these characters. Right? Yeah. It's not like there's been cops in the background trying to investigate or figure this out. So I'm like, just what the hell? Like an otherwise seemingly pretty creepy, cool little horror movie. I'm like, that ending just flabbergasts me. I don't understand the purpose of that at all.
Yeah, it was bad. Just bad. That's it. Ended real bad.
So then you contrast that now with the remake from 2012. Now, immediately, the thing that sticks out to me with the remake, and by the way, this one is written by Alexandra Aja and Gregory Levasseur, and it's directed by Frank Calfoun.
Wow, really?
These are hard names to say. But the thing that immediately sticks out to me is Elijah Wood playing the character of Frank.
So awkward. What
do you think of this choice? Because you know, we just talked about how the Frank character, Joe Spinell, is really like, he's a good embodiment of what the Maniac
he's
is
like
supposed to be.
A weirdo. Mm-hmm. Like, he is, maybe not weirdo. He's creep. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a guy you see walking down the street and you're like, you're a fucking creep.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Elijah Wood is the weirdo.
Elijah Wood. So he does still come off as a weirdo.
Like, Elijah Wood, in the right like acting circumstance like this, like, yeah, that's the kid that I would see and be like, yo, that guy's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between creep and weird. Like, he's got the weird status. Like, you're suspect. But like, the other guy's like, no, I definitely know you kill people.
On a surface level, I was sort of already feeling like this movie wasn't going to be as good because of Elijah Wood. But then I reckon, like, the way that this movie opens, he's just stalking a woman from his car. So we don't even see him. Everything is just POV. From his POV. And that's 90% of the movie is just his POV. We kind of see him in mirrors and reflections, and every once in a while it'll pop out, but very rarely does it ever pop out of his view.
But that's kind of what the other one is too.
No, not
they
like this.
They cut a lot more, I
Not
guess.
like this. This one is 100% almost from his eyes.
Yeah.
Which is wild. It's like you're playing a video game as him.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
VR.
They make you kind of the Maniac.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And oh my God, like the first girl that he stalks her all the way back to the door of her apartment.
Yeah.
And she finally just like, she turns around, like she's frantically trying to get the keys, and she turns around and he's just staring at, well, we're staring at her.
Weirdo.
Right? Because it's his point of view that we're looking at her. And she goes to try to say something, and he just shoves the fucking knife straight up into her brain, like through the bottom of her jaw.
Yeah. Yep.
Incredible.
It's a pretty crazy kill.
Now, the one thing that bothered me about it was how easy it was for him to scalp her. And this is a common thing throughout this version of the movie.
Yeah, this is not an easy thing to do.
No. But it is like he just kind of slices at the scalp.
Just peels it off.
And like holds her hair, and she falls down from the kill, and it just like peels off.
Yeah,
easily.
No, it doesn't work that way.
That's not how it's going to.
No.
And that kind of happens over and over again with the kills in this movie. But honestly, my only complaint about the movie is that I fucking loved this. I thought it crushed the original.
I mean, I think what it did was it took the gaps and the holes in the original and made it a cohesive story. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to kind of compare the two. Like the first one was a great idea.
The concept was there, but it wasn't fleshed out well.
Yeah, the execution was like, we got a little lazy.
Yeah, some of the things that are instant improvements, the character owns a mannequin shop. Okay, perfect. This explains why he has access to all these mannequins all the time.
Right, whereas in the other one, he's carrying them wrapped in a trash bag through an alley, which isn't suspect at all. Not one bit. A body shape in a trash bag with duct tape, not creepy.
Yeah, it's not as strong of a story connection, right?
Yeah. You're like, where did you get it from? It's not that easy to get mannequins. They're expensive as shit.
And then Anna, our photographer, played by Nora Arnazetter, she takes pictures of mannequins.
Great.
Now the photographer has
a connection
to this character. It makes sense. It's not just somebody random that took a picture of him in the park.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, this is her work. So obviously, she has an interest in him and what he does.
Well, the other woman was a photographer of like candids. Like, she just goes to the park and she takes random photos.
But yeah, I mean, instantly their connection is stronger. There's more time that we get to spend with them as like a couple throughout the film while he goes on his maniac sprees. The killings overall in this movie, as gory as they are in the 1980 version, they're way more unsettling and gruesome in this one, I feel, especially because, again, we're looking at these things as if we're the one murdering these girls.
Yeah,
like it's
from
literally,
my perception, this is what it would look like.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about the subway one in this one, because this plays out way better. He starts stalking this like pack of girls. And then they sort of start, like, they're going home for the night. They sort of start to get separated at the subway. Like, like you do. Like, I have to take this train. You have to take that train. Yeah. All right, I'll see you later. Like, she's with her friends. There's people scattered around. He's taking his time from a distance, not engaging just yet.
Yep.
Gets on the same train as her. And now she's sort of like, she just keeps like looking over, like at the lens, right?
Oh,
And she's like, holy fuck, this guy is
following me.
Yeah, he's following me.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, how long would it take? It's like a
sixth sense feeling that like you just know when you sense it.
How long would it take for you to recognize that somebody was following you?
For me,
like
2 seconds. It wouldn't even have gotten that far. Like when I was with my friends, I would have noticed it.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. That's just me though. I'm super hyper aware of my surroundings. Like my mind doesn't stop moving. So like I identify everything around me when I'm like, especially by myself. But
yeah, I mean, this probably explains why like everywhere you go, everything you do, you always come back with a story.
Me? Yeah.
And I never have a story because when I'm like, if I have to go out to get like something, whatever, I just go out, I get the thing, I get in the store, and I get the fuck out. Like, I don't pay attention to anybody else. I don't give a shit about anything else going on around me. But any little thing that somebody does will trigger you in some way. Now you're like
everything.
Hyper focused on this person. It's like, and you'll never believe what they said or what they did. And I'm like, why were you paying attention to this?
Because what else am I going to do? If I'm by myself, I'm like observing what goes on around me.
And then, of course,
who doesn't do that? You're weird.
I don't know. Maybe. Although I tend to think that, okay, if I am weird, it's a good weird character to have because nothing ever gets in my way of my day. Right? Because like whatever people are doing around me, I don't care. I just like, it's not bothering me.
Whatever. It's not like I look for it. It's just like, I'm just aware, hyper aware. That's it. That's all it is.
So what's cool about this is she gets off the train knowing that he's going to get off the train too and keep following her.
Yep.
And he just keeps following her through the subway and to the point where like she stops. I think there's like a stairway separating them and she just like looks at him like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And he's just not answering. And it's like,
well, that's because like that's your first defense mechanism as a woman is make a scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to make a scene because then if someone hears something like, you know, who's nearby, like that's your first line of defense in that scenario. So she did the right thing. But
it's great. I mean, I love the whole cadence of it. All the beats of this really hit well. Now he chases her into like this parking lot kind of area that he's able to like close off. I guess it's one of these outdoor parking garage type of deals that close at a certain time of night or something like that. So she can't get out. What's odd to me though is like This movie is supposed to be taking place like more modern times, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't she have a cell phone that she can?
Yeah, I mean, it's modern, but it was like 2012 when it came out.
Mm-hmm. She would have a cell phone on her. Everybody had a cell phone on them at all times back then.
But is it really meant to be that recent? Like, even though it was made in 2012, that was my point.
I mean, even then, even if you go back 10 years prior to that, everybody had a cell phone. You just had not a smartphone. You just had a regular cell phone. So I don't know. That kind of jumped out at me as like, all right, you're panicking. You're lost in this parking garage. Like, why wouldn't your first call be to like 911 or a friend or somebody letting them know where you are? Yeah, just
be on the phone with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he ends up hiding under one of the cars, right?
I knew immediately, and I just started. This is when I was just yelling, right? Wasn't I just yelling? Because I knew it was happening.
Yeah, what happens?
Motherfucker. It's the goddamn Achilles heel
he slices the ankle.
Motherfucker. I hate it.
We've seen this a couple times in movies. It's always brutal to watch.
Yes. It's again, and when it's set up, it doesn't matter. It's one of those types of like harming situations where you can see it 100 times and it still sucks every fucking time.
I sort of liken it to the feeling that you get when like you get like a paper cut or like right. It's like that spine tingling kind of yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what it is.
And my God, though, so now this triggers the thing that bothers me the most in horror movies, in any movie where there's like a kill scene with stabbing. I don't do well with the multiple stabbings over and over and over again. He stabs the shit out of her.
Oh yeah, big time.
And he just keeps going, and it's just violent plunges, and I'm like, oh my God, like the sheer brutality of that, to just hover over somebody like that, like her back is turned to you too, and you're just plunged, and she's just taking it. She doesn't know when the next hit is coming. It's such a disrespectful way to kill somebody, I feel like.
It really is, but it's also, again, it's still unbelievable in this parking garage situation that like there's nobody there. Like,
I buy it more in the parking.
I don't, not for the city.
I don't know. See, because it seems like they've been drinking late at night. It's like 2-something a.m. Like the parking attendant isn't going to be there. He's gone home for the night. You know what I mean? Like all these things, like they kind of close up.
There's still people though who are going to be there.
Anyway, I mean, I just felt like that fucking kill was so brutal. And this is like one of the couple times that we actually see it swing outside of his perspective, and it swings around just like this little dolly pan to actually show him. Yeah. You know, stabbing with the knife, which I thought was a smart touch, because really getting that visceral movement of him stabbing just adds to the scariness of it.
Yeah, I mean, this was a different kind of crazy stalker level though. Like, just the whole thing about it was like, again, the fact that he did it out in the open while there were friends around, you know what I mean? Like there were so many opportunities to be seen, to be identified, and like he still was just like zero fucks.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Elijah Wood, he played this perfectly. I mean, it really, really worked way better than I expected. And they do the same perspective shift again, like we get out of his view and into like, it swings out to a wide shot when he kills the older lady on her bed. And this scalping is just brutal because she's laying on the bed like kind of hogtied, I guess, almost. And he's sitting on her, like straddling her, and he does, you know, the slice of, you know, to start the scalping. And again, he says this thing, you know, she's like, you know, don't kill me, please don't kill me. He's like, I'm not gonna kill you, I'm gonna keep you. Which again, like this character is so
creepy.
Fucking I mean, it's a great character. I feel like it's definitely one of, it's crazy that I hadn't really heard of this character up until now, because I definitely feel like it belongs up there as like one of the scarier villains in a horror movie.
I mean, again, because this is just...
I'm way more scared of this than Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, like this is something that can actually happen. It's
as a woman, it's got to be even more 100%.
That's what I mean. It's like watching this guy like prowl the streets and fucking chase women down. Like that's horrifying. Like that's what what you watch as a POV like is one of the most horrifying things about being a woman and wanting to be outside late at night and like even in the nicest of areas, just always constantly having to wonder if someone is like following you, if someone's going to catch you off guard. Like that's real life.
I think the closest I have ever come to that feeling or could ever come to that feeling is like flashback to like 10-year-old Mark playing in the basement with all my toys. And then my mom says, all right, you know, it's time. You got to come up and like get ready for bed. And having to shut the light off in the basement and run up the stairs as fast as possible because it felt like somebody
still do that now.
Yeah, it felt like somebody was chasing me. That's like that's the closest I can get to like, oh, I'm a woman and at night and somebody's stalking me from behind.
I mean,
which is not even close.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever been like stalked like that, which is good, but I've definitely always been aware to make sure.
So the old lady though, like he just ripped while she's alive. He just rips the scalp right off her fucking head while she's alive. And he almost has like a look of like euphoria when he does it. Like we've never seen his face when he does it up until this moment.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What the
like
fuck would that feel like? Would you just die immediately? Would you pass out from shock? What would like your brain is now, but it's not. Your brain couldn't be exposed. Your skull is there. So you wouldn't die right away. Right?
I don't know.
I feel like you wouldn't. I feel like your brain would still have some sort of protection.
I have to Google it, but I don't know.
I don't know how you Google that.
Do you die? Can you die from a scalping? Isn't that like?
I don't know.
Like, do you automatically die?
They do the scalping and bone tomahawk too, but they do it properly. Like it takes a little bit. You know.
Hope cops never need my phone searches.
You're literally gonna Google it right now.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck. Although extremely painful, being scalped alive was not always fatal. Full scalping would often lead to serious medical complications, including profuse bleeding, infection, and eventual death if the bone of the skull was left exposed. Death could also occur from septicemia, meningitis, or necrosis of the skull. So that's also then a flaw, because like to just scalp the person and leave, like technically they could live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Under the right conditions, you could survive.
I mean, let's face it. Frank is not just leaving her there to tend to her
I mean,
wounds.
she'd have to literally be like left out in the winter.
I mean, obviously we don't see it, but he definitely probably just kills her shortly after that.
I mean, there's a lot of things on this, so I can't be the only person. There's Quora, there's Reddit, so.
No, I mean, it makes sense.
Excuse me, officer. We were talking about it on our podcast, and I just had to know. Here's the proof.
Yeah, as if cops do their jobs that thoroughly. I think the one instance I had with police is somebody broke into my car. They stole my guitar, and I called and I reported it and whatever. Like they take like a brief little description, like, all right, yeah, we'll call if we find anything. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, you're not gonna look at this at all, right?
Yeah.
Like I told him that. I'm like, what are you gonna find?
It's like the forged check I had.
He's like, yeah. He's like, most likely nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
they literally do nothing.
What's the point of you? What is the point of you?
Nothing. Literally nothing.
Nothing. They do the same shit when
somebody give you speeding tickets.
If somebody breaks into your house and steals shit, like they do the same. Let's just take an inventory of what was stolen, or maybe help you with the insurance company, whatever. But it's like, unless there's like a series of break-ins where it becomes a problem for the community,
doesn't matter about you.
They don't give a fuck about you. Yeah. So anyway, this one does kind of the same ending, right? He kills Anna. I mean, the whole Anna kill is a little more elaborate in this one. Like he tracks her down to her apartment and stuff like that, and like, he throws her in the back of his van. She does this cool thing that like when he opens the van, she stabs him with the mannequin hand.
Oh yeah,
I love that. But then it's like weird because she tries to get away, and there's just like this old man driving by, and she gets in the car with him. And then she takes over the guy's fucking wheel as they're trying to get away and just runs over Frank. Like as if like she's like, no, fuck it. This guy's not getting away with this. I'm just going to run him over.
Yep.
But as a result, she causes them to crash.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to fucking crash. And she like flies out the windshield. So he just like takes her back to his place and she's dead.
That didn't work out.
But they do the whole thing with the mannequins again, like coming to life and ripping them apart. The nice touch they do in this one, though, is instead of them just ripping his head off, they rip off the flesh of his face.
Yeah, it's like they peel away at him.
And he's a mannequin underneath.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of neat.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like...
But see, that's like the artsy... But that's like the artsy kind of touch that like... Yeah, I don't mind stuff like that because when you're going abstract and you're going weird and you're going like things that are like sort of like it's kind of like a dreamlike sequence or something that's not really happening, but it's meant to represent something else. Okay, but
what does that represent that underneath he's a mannequin? What is the symbolism of this?
Again, I don't know that it has to be like a literal symbolism or a literal metaphor. It's more like it's just like a visual reference point of like this guy, he owned the mannequin shop. The mannequins were like his whole life because the mannequins were they were a proxy for his mother and blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, like in the end, like that's what he was on the inside. Like that visual tie is what it is. It has nothing to do with like, there's a literal interpretation of what it's just a visual tie.
See, I don't like that because it just is like, this is dumb.
It's just artsy. It's not meant to be like.
I guess I don't like art.
No, maybe it just doesn't work for you.
No, that doesn't work.
Because you're looking for like a literal reason when it's something that it's not literally happening.
Symbolism isn't literal, but yeah, there should be some reason that would be the correlation that would be made to end the movie. Like there's nothing there that's like you could tie together symbolically, like underneath it all, he was just a mannequin. No, what?
Well, no, yeah, because that's not what it's saying.
Okay, but I'm saying what else? What else is it other than just like?
It's just a visual tie, and like it's like him dreaming this, and like that's how his dream ends. It's a visual tie. But anyway, then it does go to the cops finding him dead in his apartment, which makes sense because he's got, he bleeds out from the car crash, right? He does get hit by a fucking car, so he's not in good shape. And probably while he's succumbing to his wounds and dying deliriously in his bed, this is how he envisions it happening, right? Yeah. And they find him just like in the closet, kind of like, or like, I think just like kind of, it looks like he's in a closet. He's just like sitting in a corner, just laying there dead. And that's how it ends. It's like the police they discover the body, but it's not like they leave. Like this is like a SWAT team of people that come. They have the flashlights looking for him. They have the guns pointed the whole time. Like they're there to get him out of there dead or alive.
Yeah.
And then the movie just fades out. It's not like these two random bozos show up and then just leave the room. Like, because I think in the first one, no, I know for a fact, they do the thing like after the cops leave, it like zooms in on Frank's face and his eyes open up. Like it's the one last scare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this one, I thought that this absolutely crushed the original. Not that the original is bad, but I don't know. There's something so cool about the point of view shots the whole time. Seeing things from Frank's point of view was extra creepy because, like you said, the concept and the character was already strong. It's just they didn't flesh it out enough. I think that again, it just filled in the holes. It took like a good idea and made it a better film. All right, so let's move on then to head to head. We're drafting or selecting the wild animals that we would like to own as pets, but they can't ever hurt you or anyone else.
Yep.
So first pick, God, this is tough.
I know, you didn't even make a list. I have no reference.
Well, I wasn't going to make a list and then have you steal my picks here. So I have my own kind of list going. So I got a bunch written down here. Now, when I'm thinking about like pets, there's a couple things that I feel like a pet needs to have. Like a pet needs to have a cute factor.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, all right, you want to start with cute animals, but there's also something, and you know this, I've always been so in awe of jungle cats, like big wild cats of all kinds. Like it doesn't really matter, but to me the most beautiful version of that is the white tiger. And I feel like, goddamn, if I could own a white tiger as a pet, I mean, not only it's not cute per se, I mean it could be cute because they can be kind of playful. I've seen them like play and be cute.
They are, yeah.
But it's just so majestic and beautiful that it's like, I mean, how cool would you fucking look just like walking around like your house or your backyard with a white tiger? Now, obviously, feeding the tiger would be expensive.
Yeah. You think it's fucking expensive to feed your ass.
So that's probably the downside to the white tiger, but I don't know. There's something that's got to be my first pick.
That's your first?
I think so. I'm going with the white tiger.
Interesting.
I mean, it's a cool fucking pet, man.
I didn't think you were going to go that route.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I love cat. I love but the weird thing is I don't like actual domestic cats. Like house cats, I don't like. But when they're big like that and like they're like predators and like badass.
Yeah, it's way more. There's a beauty to it that's different.
Yeah, it couldn't really stay in your house though. It would destroy all the furniture.
I have to take advantage of this as your first pick though. So my first one will be a chimpanzee.
A chimpanzee. It's a great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been obsessed with like the monkey exhibits at zoos and things like that. I always love seeing what goes on. So, I mean, I was like, the gorilla route, but like, might be a little much. The chimpanzee is like a good middle ground, I think. Very
close to humans, right? You can communicate with them. Technically, you could teach your chimpanzee sign language.
Yeah, but go do the laundry, bitch.
Now, the chimpanzee is on my list. It was on my short list, so I probably would have picked it eventually.
Yes.
The reason I sort of went away from it was I thought the smell would just be too bad.
All animals smell.
But tigers, they clean themselves. They're very.
You're keeping this animal as a pet, so you're gonna bathe it and take care of it.
No doubt. I just felt like when it comes to cleanliness, like the ape family is that's like one of the smellier, right? So it's like you're gonna have. I
can't imagine a giant cat's gonna smell good either, but
I think it would smell better than the chimpanzee.
All right.
But I like it. It's a good pick. Let's see here. So I'm gonna go. I think I might go full cute factor on this one because the other one that I think that I would be my second choice, I don't think you'll ever pick.
No, probably not.
So I'm gonna go with the red panda. The red panda is the cutest fucking thing. Remember when we went to the zoo?
Yep.
And you're like, oh my God, I just want to squeeze it. I want to love it. And that's so like I have the tiger, which is like, all right, this is like the badass, majestic pet.
Yeah.
But the red panda, I think, is like, that's the cute little cuddly one.
I do love a red panda whenever I see them at the zoo. But they're sleeping most of the time.
Well, I don't think they're not nocturnal, right?
I think they might be.
They're nocturnal. That kind of takes it down a notch.
I'm gonna peep,
but I don't think they are. I don't think pandas in general are they considered.
I feel it. Red panda, carnivore native to the eastern Himalayas and southwest China. It's endangered.
Yes.
Way to go.
So is a white tiger. These are both endangered
yeah, you
species.
want all the fucking endangered ones. It doesn't say if it's nocturnal.
I don't think it is.
I don't think so. Can you have a red panda as a pet?
No, they are endangered.
Their lives will be shorter and miserable as a pet.
Yes.
So, way to go with that decision.
Well, in this scenario, it doesn't hurt you. You don't hurt it. It can live and thrive. And
all right. How many am I picking? I'm only getting to pick 3.
You pick 4.
4?
We always pick 4.
Oh, God, this is hard.
I mean, there's a lot of animals out there you could pick from.
I know. I'm trying to like be smart about my picks so that you don't steal one. All right. My second pick, I'm going Black Panther.
Black Panther. So that's your big cat.
That's my big cat.
Beautiful
because,
animal.
Yeah. Like, that's it. Like, that thing is fucking incredible. Like, oh, open the door. Here's my Black Panther, bitch. Yes.
And it just like rubs its head on you.
It's my God. I just imagine it to be all silky soft and like as a pet that can't kill me, even better.
So you have a chimp and a black. I mean, it's 2 huge pets.
What do you mean? Like, they're all going to be huge. They're exotic.
Well, not necessarily. The red panda's not that big.
The red pandas are pretty big.
It's not that. You can cuddle a red panda.
Yeah.
Like a koala.
I have other things up my sleeve.
All right. You're going to go with the koala next?
No, koalas stink.
All right. So
I'm really stuck on like, I have a 2 option thing here, but I can't. I'm
trying to diversify my lineup here.
I was trying to diversify too. I just looked it up to see if I was being diverse, and I'm not.
So the red panda, that kind of scratches an itch on a couple of these other ones. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always love foxes. Foxes are always cool to me, but at the end of the day, if you owned a fox as a pet, it kind of probably feels like a dog.
Yeah.
Right? It's not as special.
Yeah, there's more and more videos online of people who have them.
Foxes? Mm-hmm. I like the fennec fox. It's got like the really big ears. It's like dude, but exaggerated.
Look at this thing.
I'm torn here, but I think I'm going to go with the squirrel monkey.
You had to get a monkey in there.
Yeah, and I think I'm more comfortable with this size monkey, like the apes, the chimps and the gorillas and the that shit. I mean, as cool as they look, and like like when we go to the zoo and we get to like the gorilla cage or whatever. The gorilla cage,
I could stay there for the whole day.
Yeah, just in awe of a gorilla. I mean, there's something so otherworldly about those animals.
Right.
But I don't know. As a pet, I just don't know what I would do with a gorilla. Like, I really don't. Like, at least the tiger, I feel like I could play with it. I could roughhouse with it and everything. And it's not going to hurt me. So whatever. It's just a big cat at the end of the day.
It's just a giant cat.
So, all right.
None of these animals are going to hurt you, though. That's what you have to remember.
No, but what the hell do you do with a gorilla? I don't know what you do with a gorilla.
I mean, they're smart, too.
I get. What am I? Are him and I going to shoot hoops or something? Like, what the hell's he doing? Because
why not?
I don't know. The fact that they have thumbs, it's like it feels like you shouldn't be a pet. Like, it's like I don't know. So, but I'm going with the squirrel monkey because I feel like at least the squirrel monkey, like that's got to be a more playful animal, I think, than like a gorilla would be. And they're also very cute. And I feel like you could just kind of keep them in the house and they would just kind of hang out with you.
Yep.
You could just feed them like regular people snacks and they would just munch away.
All right.
So I have white tiger, red panda, and squirrel monkey. You have chimpanzee and black panther.
I know. That's why this third one is controversial.
You need something a little more cuddly, I think.
I know. I mean, I consider this next one to be... Mm-hmm. I just had to look something up quick and make sure because there's different kinds.
Okay.
All right. I'm just going to go with my gut. It should not be a surprise for you.
Mm-hmm.
Lemur.
So I was kind of debating back and forth between the lemur and the squirrel monkey. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, it's really hard and I'm like feeling like I need to renege on some of my decisions right now, but it is what it is. So definitely going to stay with the lemur.
I mean, I love the lemur. The lemur exhibit is awesome. They're super interesting to watch, the way that they move around. I think the reason I went squirrel monkey is because I guess I just assumed that the squirrel monkey would be easier to maintain, easier to train.
Well, lemur's considered
smarter.
A primate.
Yeah.
So I have two.
You do have two, yeah.
I didn't realize that
You lean towards the animals with thumbs.
I lean towards little men in suits. That's what they are.
Well, a chimpanzee is a big man in the suit.
Not a little for a little, amount of time, but yeah.
Geez, the sheer power of a chimpanzee, like nobody would fuck with you.
No.
Ever.
And I have a black panther.
Yeah. But technically, they can't hurt anybody else.
People don't know that.
They don't know that.
You just see a black panther sitting on the windowsill.
Yeah.
Chilling.
You're not going to that house.
Nope.
All right, so I have one more pick. I have
one more pick too. I got to think about now.
Now I thought about the sea otter, right? Because we saw an otter up close and personal.
Yeah.
When we went to Denver.
Yep.
Cute fucking thing, man. And I've seen videos of people like playing with otters, like the trainers and stuff that know how to deal with them and like feeding them and petting them. Holy shit, are they adorable? Mm-hmm. But my whole thing with like, all right, but if you take the sea otter, like where do you can you keep it in a pool? You probably need like a special enclosure.
They need water.
Yeah. I don't know.
All mine don't need like that kind of life.
Yeah. I mean, sea otter, I think you're getting into now a maintenance level that's really difficult. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Then it's between them. There's one other that I really want.
Okay.
And you know this. This was the animal that stopped me in my tracks last time I went to the zoo. I thought this was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. The hyenas.
Yep.
It was. I think it's the coolest animal. Like the way that it moves. They really do that like little laugh thing.
Yep.
Which is fucking creepy and cool. And they just have this way of like the way their eyes. I don't know
if it was the
stare
hyenas.
through you. They were hyenas.
No.
Yeah.
You're thinking the wild dog thing.
No, they were hyenas. 100% it was hyenas. I have it on video if I could find the video. But holy shit, are they cool? And I found out actually from that exhibit, I think that hyenas are not dogs. They're not part of the canine bloodline. I think they're actually another type of cat. Yeah,
they're like
or weird, maybe I don't remember. But they're not dogs, even though they look like they're dog-like. And they kind of act like.
Hyenas are they're carnivorian mammals of the family Hyenidae with only 4 extant species, 5th smallest biological family in the carnivorum, one of the smallest in the class of Mammalia.
They're like super unique in that regard.
Yeah, they're unique and vital components of most African ecosystems.
I think I'm going to go with the hyena. It's just so cool. And I feel like if I could play with the hyena, my God, that would be fun.
They're actually more closely related to cats. They live throughout much of Africa and eastwards through Arabia. They live together in large groups called clans that may include up to 80 individuals and are led by females. You went for the female-led animal species.
But it's very common, even with lions, right? Like the females do all the work.
Yeah.
The men really they kind of just sit around lazy and breed. Like, they don't really do anything.
Yeah.
And they're just meant to look big and menacing to protect the pride of somebody, you know.
I'm really stuck on my last one now, though. Fuck.
So I rounded out there with hyena. So I have white tiger, hyena, red panda, and squirrel monkey. I still don't think that the sea otter is not a bad pick. I mean, they are.
It is a bad pick. I got to maintain a whole fucking habitat for that. Like, I'm good on that.
So no sea creatures for you.
No, I thought about sea creatures because like a seal. I would definitely like a seal.
Mm-hmm. Over the otter?
I like otters. I like seals. I'm saying
penguins. You love penguins.
Love penguins. But like, I'm not trying to like
do like a whole aquatic habitat over here.
Yeah, I already got to feed the panther. It's a lot.
We'll have to assume that there's some like there's some wildlife.
There's some diet that I can manage.
There's like this got like donated to you through some like wildlife fund, and they're fully paying for the animal to live. It's just you get to take care of it. Because otherwise, you're just going to eliminate too many animals that way.
No, I mean, yes and no. There's definitely just things like right now I'm really stuck on like not picking something that's a primate.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have 2. I thought about a bird.
I fucking hate birds.
I know you hate birds, but like some birds are crazy.
But what kind of wild bird? Like, you're going to get like a predator bird, like an eagle?
No, like a vulture.
See, vultures are so ugly compared to eagles.
No, I love it.
Vultures
for Halloween,
are pretty
you have like a
badass,
vulture fucking chilling on your roof for the Halloween party. It's just hanging out.
Huge too.
I know. It's amazing.
They just look so menacing.
Yes.
You're going to have like this black panther, this black gigantic vulture looming. Like, Jesus. And then the chimpanzee is like at the door, like is bouncing.
It's the Munster household, biatch.
Oh my God.
The lemurs are pretty menacing looking too. Like their yellow eyes.
Yeah, the lemurs are.
They're like not, they're cute, but
all right, last pick.
I know. I'm really trying to think of what to pick for. I thought I only had 3. I don't know why I thought I had 3. I'm going sloth.
Sloth.
That's what it is. Last pick.
I mean, they're they don't do anything.
Yeah, but they're adorable. Like I just want to hug it.
See, if I had an extra pick, I think I would have gone raccoon.
A raccoon? You want a fucking trash panda?
Have you ever seen people that, for some reason, I've come across these videos a lot where people just like have raccoons in their house?
I mean, I thought of having like the cotamundi, which is an exotic version of a raccoon.
I don't remember what they look like. I've heard of them, but I don't remember.
There was one in Mexico. I'll get the video for you when we went, and I caught it stealing from people's bags. He was like running to people's like bags by the pool, and he'd like go in the bag and steal. But that's kind of
that's kind of what's cute and funny about a raccoon, right? It's like they're like little burglars.
They are, but that's why it's like, but like a raccoon is around. They
are kind of cute. They can be cute. Raccoons.
See, now you made me like, do I pick a cotamundi? Like cotamundis are badass.
Well, you already picked.
I know. But this was one of the ones that so it looks like your red
panda.
But
it's too much like a lemur.
They're not the same thing.
I know,
lemurs are primates. This is a mammal.
I know, but it's just you're not differentiating enough. I think the vulture.
This looks like a lemur. It looks like a lemur mixed with a raccoon.
Yeah.
But they're so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like they're like little bandits. I'm gonna send you the video. But I'm happy with my sloth. Because I like them and they're cute and they hug you and they love you.
Oh, that's right. You're going sloth. I thought you went vulture. You went sloth.
No, okay. The vulture was more like if I was building something, for like a haunted house, my picks would be different.
I could picture you too. Like you would so get into like the cage enclosure for the vulture. Yep. Like you would totally deck it out.
You would have a whole
the skulls on it and shit.
All over in piles.
And then what happened? Like, how do you feed a vulture? Because don't they feed on like dying flesh, like carcasses?
Yeah, that's why I can't have that.
You need to team up with Frank from Maniac, and just you done with that woman's dead body? I need to
toss that in there.
Need to feed my vulture.
Just toss it over there.
All right,
feed my vulture.
Well, that'll do it for episode 28. Like we mentioned up front, this will probably be the last Scary Movie Madness for a little while. Probably around September when scary season picks back up and fall starts.
Spooky season, babe. It's not scary season. Spooky season.
Whatever. I don't give a shit.
I do.
I'll say it how I want to say it.
Brandon.
And then we'll try to do some game nights here and there throughout the summer with some more.
We'll find
guests.
someone else to join us.
I think my vote is for Sheena next.
Oh God, Sheena! She's just gonna be like, I gotta go.
So that'll be fun. All right, that's it. And remember, until next time,
we don't give awards for art.